Alright everyone, so this video is going to be about how it's still possible to solo Heroic Plaguefall for the Slime Serpent mount using the
So,
Primal Elements gear
the
set
House
item
of
level
Ice has
252
finally sent someone to
pre-Dragonflight.
kill
So here we
me.
go.
You're welcome to
So you can
try.
see here the gear set that I have
The
on
horrors
is
within
all
these halls will
basically
make
from
quick
Primal
work
Elements.
of
Here's my
you.
spec. I'm going to pause it here for just a moment. But also I'm going to be pasting this spec in the video description so you can copy it for your Prot Paladin as well if you're going to be using the same class. I'm going to speed through right here and just pull these first couple mobs, which really shouldn't be too much of a problem at all. The main thing you're going to want to look out for is on the big guy, just use Rebuke or whatever interrupt you have whenever he tries to cast his creepy crawlies. Shortly after this fight, I'll basically be just running and grabbing all of the slimes in the center of this boss arena. As any sort of tank spec, you should be able to AoE them down very quickly, just using your Shield of the Righteousness and Word of Glory as a Prot Paladin to keep yourself healed up and healthy throughout this fight. I back up to avoid that slime on the floor, so it's no problem. These Plague Belchers are kind of difficult. They summon these slimes. When the slimes go into their body, they get more powerful, their haste increases, their damage increases, so it can really scale out of control. But as long as you maintain constant DPS and remember to heal yourself with Word of Glory whenever you need to, then you'll be fine. I haven't actually used any defensive cooldowns yet in this run. We're almost to the first boss, but I will accidentally have my Gift of the Valkyr popped in this fight, I believe, because I wasn't paying too close attention to my health. And so the automatic safety net from that Gift of the Valkyr does kick in right there, but we should be able to clean them up just fine. So the first boss is Glob Grog, which is this big slime guy over here who has three main mechanics. One is a slime wave, where he just blasts the cone in front of him that you need to dodge. The second is a stomp on the floor, which is undodgeable but does minimal damage you don't really need to worry about. Here's that slime wave. As you can see, I just moved to the side and we're totally fine. And the last mechanic is, there's the stomp. The last mechanic is that he summons slimes to come and heal him. It doesn't make him stronger, it's really just a DPS check because he just will heal faster than you as a tank can deal damage to him. But if you damage those slimes, they don't heal him as much. So as he beckons these slimes over here, I'm just going to make sure to keep my Divine Toll, which is on my G key. It's the second row, second icon. I'm just going to use that or any other AoE move like Consecrate or Avenger's Shield to really just deal as much damage as I can to those slimes so he doesn't heal up. We rinse repeat that for about 6 minutes. This fight's pretty easy. You should never do enough damage to kill you. It's really just a DPS race. Make sure to take down those slime. Let's get this sped up, and I'll meet you guys after the fact. Alright, so Globgrog is down. Shouldn't really be too difficult. He is definitely the easiest boss of this entire run, and he's very short towards the start. Now, as we move on, this way we want to hug the left wall. We're going to aggro this Plague Rock, who's going to be annoying, so we might as well just kill him. The next boss is Dr. Ickis, which is the wall of the run. So as we run through here, just get prepared that you'll probably die in the next boss a handful of times. I know I did, even knowing the strategy going into it. So I use the Venthyr's Door of Shadows to just kind of get past this spot and make it no big deal. So I don't have to fight that big guy. Kill these two slime crawlers. What they're going to do, or slime claws, excuse me. So what they're going to do is cast a disease on you that you can just dispel with Cleanse Toxins. It reduces your stats. So just remove that real quick. The only slime we have to fight if you're a Venthyr is this one. If you're a different covenant, you'll need to fight the next one as well, but I'll just Dwarf Shadows past. This fight's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is knock out his Plague Barrels if he's next to him, otherwise DPS him down. Before we enter the Dr. Ickis fight, we need to pull these 3 sets of mobs. I just kind of pull them back to the staircase, which makes them a little easier to deal with, because as soon as I kill this set of mobs, Dr. Ickis is going to jump over and start searching for you. So as long as you kind of move the groups of mobs out of the way of where he jumps, he'll be totally fine. So you'll see he's going to jump from this platform to the next one, and after he jumps away, I'm going to grab this set and I'm going to run them all back up the stairs, so that because it's going to take so long for me to kill them as a tank, he's going to jump back around, and there he is in the background. He's not going to see me because I moved him over here. We're going to do the same thing for the third group of mobs. You'll see me run on over there and pull them up the staircase. And now Dr. Ickis, he'll be jumping in the background, but once again, he won't notice that we're here because we're on the staircase and we just take down these mobs pretty easily. For this guy, what we're going to need to do is once he dies, the Spinebreaker, he's going to split into 5 slimes that we're going to need to kill so they don't become 5 elite enemies we have to deal with. The slimes are fairly easy, and we have very good AoE as a tank. So just run around, knock those down, and we're good. So we've now cut, because this is my 3rd attempt, even though I knew the strategy going into Dr. Ickis. So this is how Dr. Ickis works. He's really the wall of the dungeon. If you can get past him, you're good. I open up the fight with all of my DPS abilities. That's Divine Toll, that's Shield of the Righteous, that's activating Sentinel as well. He's going to cast what he just did, which is Slime Injection. That's the thing you have to watch out for this fight. It's the main killer. It's a magic damage debuff that stacks and lasts for a minute. The only way to remove it as a Prot Paladin is to use our Pally Bubble, our Divine Shield, which we can only use once per fight because of the long cooldown. So once you have about 5 to 7 stacks that Slime Injection, I'm at 2 now, you're going to want to use Divine Shield to dispel that, and then the next time you get up to 5 to 7 stacks, you want to use that Blessing of Spell Warding, which is one of the abilities we got in that Paladin tank spec, and that'll just prevent damage, but it won't dispel it. Pop all your other defensive cooldowns as you need. You can see the Gift of the Valkyrie already coming out, as we have kind of 3 stacks of Slime Injection, and he's basically not done. The other thing he's going to do is at 66% and at 33%, he's going to hop to other platforms and cause a big explosion. We don't have enough damage to deal with the explosion, so we just have to tank it. Luckily, because we're a tank, that won't do too much to us. This time right here, where he jumps back and forth on the same platform you're on, is actually the best thing that he can do, because it's the downtime of the fight, where you don't really have to worry about dying. It's just getting your holy power and healing. And then the last thing you have to worry about is if you're too far away from him, he'll cast Burning Strain, which is a disease or poison effect that you can remove with Cleanse Toxins that just does a lot of damage. So really, tank the Slime Explosion, watch out for Slime Injection, dispel it when it's at 5 to 7 stacks, or however many that you can take, panic heal all the time, use your Ardent Defender ability when you're going to die from damage, because it'll reset, it won't allow you to die, and then you want to pop Lay on Hands afterwards to heal yourself back up. The main thing is get a feel for this fight. You're going to die maybe about a half dozen times before really figuring out, but it is possible. So I'm just going to speed this fight up here, and I'll meet up with you guys at the end. There's a real tight ending here where it gets a little sketchy. So watch right here. Look at how low my health goes. I go all the way down to 3%, and then I even get down to less than, well, I guess I get down to 1% health right there, right as he's dying. So it's very close fight. It's 1% to 1% on the health, but I do get him. And that's Dr. Ickis down, who's really the wall of the dungeon. So now we're moving on to Domina, and then ending with Margrave Stradama. So we just run through the slime here, no big deal. We have 2 poles. We basically have 3 poles, but 2 large poles. This ambusher, super easy to deal with. Just make sure to kill those stealthlings. In this pull, I always go for the Defender of Many Eyes because they cast that Bulwark, which you can actually stun them out of with Hammer of Justice or any other CC. I go for them first because they reduce the damage taken by all of the enemies. So focus them, and then the other two I really don't care who I focus. I usually go for the Ambushers just because they spawn those stealth lanes and it's frustrating. But these fights should be no big deal. So here we are into Domino, which is a very easy fight for this particular class and spec. We're going to open up real standard. We don't even need to pop defensive cooldowns. She's going to use Cytotoxic Slash right at the start. You can always just use Cleanse Toxins to get rid of that. She's going to mark you for a Shadow Ambush like she is here, which is going to do mediocre damage and stun you for 3 seconds, which really isn't that big of a deal because I'm already healed back up. Those Brood Assassins are the big things, those piles of web on the floor. If you go into the center of it, or if you attack the center of it with any move like Consecrate or Blessed Hammer, it'll reveal them, and then you just use basic ambient AoE abilities like Shield of the Righteous, Consecrate, and Avenger's Shield to take them down, and you just rinse repeat. As soon as she casts those Brood Assassins, you just run and you run over the webs, you get them, you kill them. If you need to tank the stun, you just gotta tank it and Cleanse Toxic on Cytotoxic Slash whenever you want to. Use defensive cooldowns if needed. You really don't need to. I think I pop some just because it's easier and makes it a little bit safer. And you do have Gift of the Valkyrie backing you up and a Pally Bubble. Just rinse repeat this fight, and I'll meet up with you guys at the end. This one's pretty straightforward. Alright, here we are at the end. Once again, pretty straightforward fight. I only popped the Gift of the Valkyrie that one time, really because I wasn't paying attention. I have to speed these fights up a lot because as a Prot Pally tank, the DPS is fairly lacking. So now we're moving on to Margrave Stradama. This fight is the second hardest one. You might die a few times here, but I'll walk you through it as best I can. So I want to start off by not attacking the main mob, but going around the back to kill these two sets of ads first. This just makes fighting that main mini-boss, like mid-boss, I guess you would say, of this fight extremely easy. So as you see, after I've taken out these two sets, we're just moving on to the big guy. He's going to upgrade one of these Plaguebound Devoted into a Slime Boy, but just kill them really easily, and then he'll keep disappearing and reappearing, but he's not going to actually move anywhere because we killed those other groups of ads. So this just really makes the fight super simple for soloing, and in fact, doing it on Heroic or Mythic as well. After this comes Margrave Stradama, who's going to be spawned right after this guy dies here. So Margrave Stradama has a couple of mechanics. The first thing is that she uses her tentacles to slap the floor in between her phases. Those are really easy to dodge. The second thing is that she casts Infectious Rain, which can be just use your Cleanse Toxin after you get 4 stacks of it. The main thing we're looking out for is these malignant spawns that she just created. It uses a move called Touch of Slime, which counterintuitively, you're supposed to stand in that circle and get punched to not take that much damage. If a malignant spawn punches the floor and you're not in that circle, it does about 1/3 of your health worth of damage. The problem here is that she spawns multiple of these spawns at the same time. You can see now there's a second one in the back. It'll get out of hand very quickly, and so I found the best way to deal with this fight is actually to focus about half my DPS on Stradama and half my DPS on the spawns using ambient AoE or other big hitting moves like Divine Toll. As soon as she gets to 66% health, all of the malignant spawns that are currently there will stop punching the floor and instead chase you down during the whole tentacle crash phase. And that's an easier part. They do hit hard, but it's much easier to deal with than needing to kind of juggle back and forth between trying not to get punched and getting punched and killing these guys and killing her at the same time. So focus about 50-50 between Stradama and whatever malignant spawn is kind of in front of you, and that you can hit with AoE damage as well. Luckily, these two malignant spawns here on this side are right next to each other, so I can actually soak both of their punches by just strafing back and forth, which is very fortunate because that probably was one of the saving graces of why this time that I fought this boss was easy and I did it on the first try. As much as you can run around and soak those by getting directly punched rather than getting the floor punched without you there is awesome. So those are all the mechanics for this fight. I'll meet you at the end of it, which then I'll show you where to go to get the Slime Serpent, because this is the last thing that you need to do before the mount is yours, essentially. And here is that here's that intermediate phase with the wave crash, and they're running you down. And you just rinse repeat this to the end. So we'll get this sped up here shortly, and I'll meet you there at the end. I'll make a quick note here on the third phase where she's just going to do Infectious Rain mixed with her wave crashes, her plague crashes, excuse me, over and over and over without any malignant spawns. So this is actually the easiest phase of the fight. You don't even have to worry about. And here we are. And you can see Heroic Plague Fall was what I had just done and soloed. And now let's go collect that Slime Serpent. Instead of parthing out or anything, we want to walk back through where we came from. And off to the right wing here, you'll notice that there's this teleporter that'll return you to the surface. And once we land there, we walk outside of the room back to where Dominus Spellblade was, and you'll see off in the distance that curious Slime Serpent. That's the mount. You actually need to walk into the slime itself to pet it and receive it as a mount. So let's do that. Once you pet the mount, it will go directly into your collection. And there it is. And that is a quick guide, fairly much more in-depth guide than other guides that I've seen about how to get the Slime Serpent. It's doable now, pre-Dragonflight patch. This might be irrelevant in just a couple hours, but if you enjoyed, thanks for watching. Let me know what else you want to see. Take care.